Hey Don, thanks for joining me again for our Thought Leadership Spotlight Series piece. I'm your host Matt Camp, head of partnerships for DealMachine. Just for a little context on Thought Leader Spotlight Series, we really try to shine a spotlight on our industry experts, on thought leaders to really hear their inspiring stories and help educate our audience on lessons that they've learned and how they see the world evolving. So again, today we have Don Costa. He's a real estate investor, entrepreneur, husband, family man. Host of the Flip Talk podcast, and also a host of the Inner Circle Elite Mastermind. So, did I miss anything else there? Or
No, not at all. Yeah.
perfect. Awesome. And I loved, our initial conversation. You talked about how you'd started as a door knocker back,
Mhm.
2003, had gone, obviously through the crash and seeing the rise and fall of all that. And 2012 ended up really rebuilding what you called a real business in the wholesaling world, and are now doing like 200 plus deals a year and 1 million postcards, and really have scaled this thing up. So excited today to kind of dig in a little bit about kind of the lessons you've learned along the way, and what you mean by when you say building a real business.
Right, right.
And then especially obviously a lot of the people listening here today are newbies as well, and are just getting into real estate investing, or maybe have done a couple deals and are looking to scale. So with all of that, I mean, can you tell us a little bit more about your story, and how you got here today, and maybe just a little more context as well? I know I tried to cover it, but
Yeah, I mean, you hit it pretty good. I started back in 2003. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always wanted to, have my own business, and I've had several businesses through the years before I got into real estate investing. There were some are more successful and or mildly successful, and some weren't, but they never really fit me. And I had always looked at real estate investing, but like most people, no money, no credit, and I didn't think it was possible getting into the business. And one day I was interviewing for a job at a mortgage company, and the guy asked me why I was there. And I was honest with him. I said, I wanted to learn the finance side of the business because I wanted to be a real estate investor. And he basically told me, he's like, you go find the properties and I'll put up the money. And it was a weird mindset shift for me. It was like, okay, well, the money problem isn't a problem.
Mhm.
And I went out and I just started door knocking. And this was way back in 2003 when it was still like Carlton Sheets and those
Mhm.
kind of like, YouTube really wasn't a thing at that time.
Right.
Podcasts weren't a thing. It wasn't the opportunity that people have now. Right. And, so I didn't know about wholesaling. I just knew about rehabbing. And the guy said he put up the money. So I knew I could rehab, and I went and started door knocking and realized that I had a knack for um, talking people into selling their home to me if they were going to sell it to anybody, right?
Mhm.
And so, I worked pre-foreclosures, got in my car for 4 hours a day, just went off a list. I used Microsoft Streets and Maps. We didn't have GPS. It wasn't sexy. I was just flipping through papers, driving routes,
There you
and
go.
knocking on doors,
The
and
original driving for dollars there. I like it.
original driving for dollars. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, just doing my thing, and I loved it. I still miss that time period because I was able to have my time with myself and my thoughts, and then talk to amazing people and make deals, and it really, I think that experience shaped me as a real estate investor because it really honed my skills and acquisitions and talking to people and making deals happen. So um fast forward, over the next basically 3-4 years, I made a lot of money. We're in a market in 2003, 4, and 5 when if you ran a bad business, if you didn't run a real business and you made mistakes, the market hid your mistakes. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. They think everything they touch turns to gold. I thought everything I touched turned to gold, but the reality was, if my rehab went over budget and took a month longer than it was supposed to, I made more money because that's what the market was like shooting up.
Right.
And so I thought I was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I started opening other businesses, and I had a real estate company, a marketing company, a property management company, a mortgage company. I opened a restaurant and nightclub, and the money was going out as fast as coming in because I thought it was never going to end. And in 2008 hit, it was a rude awakening. It shined a big spotlight on my flaws as a rehabber, my flaws as a leader, my flaws as a business owner, and then my flaws at not knowing my numbers and not controlling my money. And over a period of a couple of years, I proceeded to lose everything. Um, when the dust settled in 2012, when I finally looked in the mirror and I was like, you can't get a job. No one's hiring you. You're not making money. Your mortgage is in and out of foreclosure. What are you going to do? I was basically, and then at Suffolk County realized that the best thing that I could do is get back into real estate investing because I knew how to make a deal
Mhm.
happen. And so I had $1 million judgment against me at the time. I had no credit, I had
Wow.
no
Yeah.
money. Let's go to the grocery store with a calculator and go in the gas station with quarters. And people think I'm full of it. I can show the copy of the judgment. Literally, I was as broke as somebody could possibly be. And I decided in 2012 that I was going to get back into it. And I did my first deal in June of 2012. And we rehabbed it and flipped it and just did, I did two, and then I did one, then I did three, and I just built a business from there. So, and then I'm here where I'm at today.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I know, even talking to you last time, I mean, very much an inspiring story to hear kind of, your mindset through that and how you came on the other side and how you got back on your horse and kept going like that. Do you think, obviously now is a pretty uncertain time. Like, you see a lot of people talking about like, what does the future hold? And no one truly knows, but are there any lessons that you took from going through that experience 10, 12 years ago, that you are now applying for yourself, that you're thinking through like, hey, someday the market, obviously there's ups and downs all the time. Is there anything you're doing now to kind of prepare for the future, whatever that might look like, that you learned through living through that?
Yeah, I mean, I think who I am at the core is effectively different, and how I run my business is completely different. I mean, I'm a different kind of leader. Before I was a bottleneck in my organization, and I was the reason why things didn't get done or didn't get done right. Now I build a team around me, and I let my team do a majority of what needs to be done because they're just better at it than I am,
Hmm.
and I get out of the way and I don't micromanage. So, that is a fundamental difference in my business that will allow me to now be able to see things that are going to happen before they happen and be able to react to them in a way that's it's more proactive.
Yeah.
So, with COVID, there's a lot of uncertainty in the market right now, so things like not blowing through my money, making sure I have reserves, making sure that my P&L is clean, and I'm not spending money where I don't need to spend it, making sure that my team is the best team I can have. Those things, are differences in my organization now that came from the mistakes I made before, not letting it go to my head, not taking it for granted, not letting my ego drive me, just wanting to run a real business, not chasing somebody else's business or dream of what they say they have. There's so many highlight reels on Facebook and Instagram where
Yeah.
you don't see the whole story in the back end. Somebody may have made a $100,000 assignment fee, but how much of that was really profit? How much did they spend to get there? So I try to put my head down and focus on running a profitable business, running a real business, running a business that can sustain itself with or without me. And that's
Mhm.
my priority now. Whereas before it was about being a douchebag. Hopefully that's not a bad word to say, but just spending money and blowing money and popping bottles and, and doing
Yeah.
my thing. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, there are definitely people listening to this that they, are probably starting to experience success within the real estate world for the first time and are looking to really kind of scale themselves and do that in a smart way without overspending and without getting a big ego like that. So is there anything that looking back in terms of advice for them and where you see common pitfalls for people who are just starting to experience success in real estate investing to really keep in mind when they want to build a real business like this?
yeah, I mean, when you make money, the kind of money we make in real estate investing sometimes, like we have, 100 grand coming in this week, right? I mean, when you make money like that, um, it, it, you never made money before in your life. It's
Mhm.
hard not to want to have fun with it. It's hard, not to want to make mistakes with it, right? It's hard not to want to get flashy things. And I'm not telling anybody not to do that. If that's what you want, that's, work for that. But be smart in it. Like understand that it can end. I think fundamentally it can end at some point. So prepare for the worst and hope for the best. So put a little bit of money aside for a rainy day and then go do what you want with the rest of it. Work on running a real business. Don't chase somebody else's dream. I've seen so many businesses. I've had the advantage of coaching people at a high level early on. And the one thing I saw was a lot of people that were grossing a lot of money, but because they were chasing what somebody else had, they were blowing through that money, constantly reinvesting their business, hiring, trying new marketing tactics, chasing shiny objects. And if they would just stopped and looked at the business that they had, they would realize that they were making plenty of money and that they had a phenomenal team and that they could really relax, but they're so busy chasing something that they weren't doing that. So I think fundamentally, I think deciding what you want early on as a business, like what does success look like to you, and defining that, and then working towards that goal and not letting somebody else's, flashy highlight reel distract you from your goal,
Right.
is a very important thing that people need to do early on in their organization, and
Yeah.
and not let it go to your head, because this in businesses have cycles. All businesses have cycles, and we got to make sure that we're running a real business.
Yep, I love that. Yeah, really, I think a lot of times, like you said, it's kind of starting with that why and thinking through like, what is truly driving you, and creating a business to focus on that. So,
Right.
yeah, makes a lot of sense. I mean, do you think for newbies that are just getting into it, they haven't done that first deal, but we definitely have a fair amount of people in that bucket that I know you speak to often as well, through your podcast and through various things that you do. I know you mentioned a couple of things like giving them confidence and helping them be able to kind of approach real estate investing in the right way. Can you maybe elaborate on that a little bit more?
Well, somebody said something to me a few weeks back that really hit home, and it's something that I've kind of repeated since. And there's, you have podcasts, you have YouTuber University, and you have so many, courses and opportunities out there that a newbie doesn't need more content. The content's there. They need confidence, right? And that's really there's two things that separate somebody that's just starting out today, from somebody like me, and the two things are confidence and time, and that's really it. The fundamentals of this business aren't hard. Once you kind of learn them, they're not hard. You're not going to learn them though from a book or from a video. You're going to learn them from taking action. And the only way to take action is to believe in yourself, right? And you got to have that confidence. And the one thing I try to do when I'm working with people is try to instill that confidence that they can do exactly what I do. I'm not the smartest person out there. I have to use a calculator for basic math. I Bro, spell check is my best friend. Uh, but I can understand the fundamentals, right, of these things that work, and I'm extremely confident in what I do. So
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to take action. I'm not afraid to jump off the cliff and build the airplane on the way down. And that's what's allowed me to accomplish success in this business is, figuring out what perfect looks like through action and through trial and error and through failure. And so, hopefully somebody hears that and realize that they're in analysis paralysis, they're sitting on the sideline, that, you just gotta get out there and do it and start believing in yourself and start believing that even if you make a mistake, that is one step closer to success, to figuring out exactly what you need to do. And that should give you confidence. And then the only other thing that separates you is time. You put the time in and you can build a wonderful business.
Yep, yep, yeah. We preach that over and over on the deal machine side for
Yeah.
sure. Is about taking action, like you said, and
Right.
really, our goal is like how do you start creating those conversations with people and creating opportunities for yourself. And the more you do it, the more confident you're going to get. The more you exercise that muscle, the more you're going to be excited to continue to do that. So, when talking about strategies like that around, how do you initially get out there? How do you initially get started? I know you mentioned the idea of like Googling for dollars is one idea. Can you maybe give a few initial beginner strategies for people that, obviously, they might be considering driving for dollars. They may or may not be using Deal Machine, but regardless, like would love to hear your thoughts on a couple, initial strategies that beginners should be thinking about right away.
Well, anything that helps you build momentum, right? I mean,
Hmm.
that's again, momentum breeds momentum, right? Momentum breeds confidence. Momentum gets you to a result within time. So,
Hmm.
anything that helps you build momentum, you got to look at your situation. When I started out, I was broke, so broke, that, like I said, I mean, I was in a meeting with somebody trying to get them to back me on a deal I wanted to buy as that I wanted to flip, and I got a text from my wife saying my water had been shut off. I mean, that's how broke I was.
Hmm.
And so I networked my butt off. I mean, that's the first thing you need to do. You need to do it no matter whether you have money or not. You need to network like crazy, and with agents, with other real estate investors, and figure out who's going to be your team moving forward, who gets it and who doesn't, right? You need to network. And then second, you need to look at opportunities like driving for dollars, or Googling for dollars is a great one if you don't have time. A lot of people will say, well, I don't have time to drive for dollars. I have a job during the day. you guys have a great resource in your app, to Google for dollars and get on there and actually look at properties and go through neighborhoods without actually having to get in your car and drive. So if you have no
Yeah.
money or you don't get off of work until 9 o'clock at night, you really have no excuse not to spend a little bit of time building momentum. And so these things, I have no money, I have no time, I have no this, I have no that. You can start to remove those things because the obstacles that I had when I started in 2003 aren't there anymore. We didn't have a DealMachine app. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have podcasts. I was literally my map was Microsoft Streets and Maps. I had to print it in, put the addresses in, do a route, and print it out and flip through it. Now you have GPS and everything else, right?
Yeah.
So these tools that you have at your fingertips make this business and starting this business so darn easy. The only thing
Mhm.
that's in your way is an excuse, and you got to remove those excuses
Yeah.
and take action on it. So
Yeah.
um, door knocking, pre foreclosures, driving for dollars, Googling for dollars, networking. Those are where I would start if I was going to start over again today.
That's great. Yeah, you bring up a good point. I mean, you're right. There, you're surrounded by great content. You're surrounded by great
Right.
technology. Now it's taking action on that. That's what's going to separate you. So,
Right.
um, yeah, and I think the networking piece is really interesting as well. Like you briefly touched on saying, hey, start building your team, but can you maybe walk through the very basics of like, hey, here are the types of people that a newbie should be networking with and should be looking out to make connections with?
Yeah, I mean, you start with a title company. You should be reaching out. A lot of people make the mistake of reaching out to the secretary or and asking if there's somebody that can help them. You need to reach out to a title company and ask if they have a customer service rep and
Hmm.
start building a relationship with their customer service rep. Their customer service rep, their job is to bring in new business for the title company. They're going to have tools and services for you, some of them that are free, to help you get some ground in real estate investing. You need to start reaching out to real estate agents in your area that you're going to be working. Most of them aren't going to get it. I'll be the first one to tell you that 99.9% of the agents aren't going to get it, but there are a few that do get what we're going to do. And if you can start building those relationships, and so they send you one deal a year and you have 5 of those people, that's 5 deals a year in your pocket. Maybe they send you 2, now that's 10. So, I have a network of agents that I built relationships with through the years who get what we do as investors and bring me phenomenal deals. I got on Craigslist and I trolled Craigslist for hours when I first got started back up in 2012. And I was reaching out to anybody who had a We Buy Houses ad on there. Are you a rehabber? Are you a wholesaler? If you're a rehabber, let's have a relationship and let's see if we can do some business together. If you're a wholesaler, I'm a buyer because at the time I was just rehabbing. Now I'm rehabbing and wholesaling, but I was looking for those relationships. I was calling bandit signs. A lot of people put bandit signs up and they'll say, well, the only people that call me are other investors, so they didn't work. Those are all opportunities to make money that a lot of
Yeah.
people don't see. I think the lesson, the takeaway with that right there, the moral of that story is there are opportunities that present themselves to us that we're so focused on this one thing that we don't realize all these other opportunities are presenting
So
themselves.
think critically. Yeah.
So I've established a lot of great relationships by calling other people on their bandit signs and creating relationships of either people that I bought from or done JV deals with and that kind of thing. So and then of course, don't discount. I know we're in COVID right now as we speak, but don't discount RIAs, and the opportunity for relationships at RIAs, those friendships, you may learn something, you may create a relationship with somebody that has private money, you may create a relationship with somebody that has deals or can buy deals. And they're just great resources.
Yeah, love it. One last question around that networking bit too. You talked about like identifying agents that get it. What are some of kind of the questions you would ask or qualifiers you would bring to the table to say, hey, this agent truly understands what we're trying to do here?
Well, I think it's more like how you present to them, right? So
Mhm.
when you're having a conversation with the agent, just let them know that you're there for them. You're there to solve a problem for them, and you want to be a resource. A lot of people go to these relationships and say, "What can you give me?"
Yep.
instead of going to them and saying, "What can I give you?"
The
If you
opposite.
go, yeah, if you go to an agent, you say, "Look, I'm looking for agents to work with. I'm looking for deals, and I want to be a problem solver for you. If you have a property where the homeowner is a hoarder house, or the house is in disarray, and the homeowner doesn't want anybody walking through during a listing process, I'm your buyer. If you have a property where you're right on the edge of closing escrow and it falls out for some reason because an investor or a buyer backs out, and it's something that fits kind of our model, I'm your buyer." So you have these situations and you need somebody to turn to. I want to be that person that you turn to. And if you present it that way, a lot more agents that probably don't get it will get it. I make it very clear. I'm not the person that I don't want to be on a portal. I don't want you to sign me up on an MLS portal. I may or may not have MLS access if I'm brand new, right? But that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the relationship where, we have an opportunity where, we can make some money together.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Well, I appreciate the conversation, Don. I mean, do you have any other kind of final thoughts there, or I would love for you to kind of tell people how to get in touch with you. Obviously, following your Flip Talk podcast would be a great place to start. But yeah, maybe tell people a little bit more on how they can build a relationship with you.
Yeah, you can find me. I mean, on Instagram at the real Don Costa. I'm all over Facebook. You can find me. I have my personal page. I have a business page, the Flip Talk Podcast with Don Costa page. So I'm everywhere there. You can email me at donafliptalk.com. I'm easy. I respond. And of course, the Flip Talk Podcast, is been around for 4 years now. There's actually two versions of it. There's one called the Rookie Playbook, and then there's the original version. And if you're interested in being part of a mastermind, I mean, beinthisroom.com for the Inner Circle Elite. We're always looking for great people. So, but yeah, and then my final words, I guess, would be just, don't let you get in your own way of having what you want in life. The last thing you want to do is be on your deathbed and having the regrets of not making your dreams come true. So with the resources you have if I had the resources back in 2003 we have today, I would have exploded in ways I could never have dreamed of. So
yeah, no excuses to not take action with what we can
right.
do. So love it. Well, Don, thanks again for coming on, and appreciate it. And I'll make sure we linked all of that within the description as well. But thanks again.
Perfect. I appreciate it. Thank you.